Hey guys, welcome back to episode 8 of the Trademark Sports Podcast. This week we're going to have a run through, talk about our team of the years, the guys that you voted for your team of the year, who I think is my team of the year, as well as preview the last round of the footy season and then answer some of your guys' questions. But before we get into that, we've got to talk about this week's random player of the week, which is Fui Moi Moi. Probably the best name in rugby league history. This guy was an absolute beast back in the day, and I always just remember him for that try in 2009 grand final. Front row shouldn't be able to do that. But over his career in the NRL, he played over 200 games for the Eels and then went over and finished his career over in England. He ended up playing a fair few rep games. He played 12 games for New Zealand and 9 games for Tonga as well. But yeah, let's get into some talking points from this round. One thing I just want to discuss and bring up is there something going on with Roosters' tackle technique? Because unfortunately on Friday night we saw Victor Radley suffer a really bad head knock and left him having convulsions and a seizure and stuff. But thankfully, we did get to see him smile and laugh at the end of the game. However, it just brought to my attention that severity and regularity of concussions that seem to happen at the Roosters. It just makes you think there might be something going on with their technique, their teaching there, whether it's just coincidence. So last season, we saw Boyd Cordner and Jake Friend, two of the best players in the game, have to retire from repeated head knocks at just 29 and 31. So pretty young in their careers. A lot of people start to retire around the 33, 34 mark, so they were nowhere near done for their career normally. This season, there's just been discussions about the health and safety of Luke Keary and Lindsay Collins continuing to play due to concern about the amount of concussions they've had, and especially Lindsay Collins. I'm pretty sure he's in 24, 25. That's really, really concerning. And you've always got that the latest head knock to Radley that happened over the weekend. But yeah, and it's obviously there's players from other clubs who also have had a repeated history of head knocks, like Isaiah Yeo coming to mind, but maybe it's just something the Roosters will have to look into in the future, because you can't keep carrying on having all these players have these really bad concussions, having to retire early. Now, another place I want to talk about, there's just seems like there's a lot of really bad news coming out at the moment, is the Dragons. So apparently, Jaden Sewer is unhappy and is potentially looking to get a release. And then Laurie's also reportedly unsettled, so there's obviously something going on with players that want to leave the club. There's also been some poor treatment of players like Tyrell Sloan. I heard the other day when he got picked for first grade, he literally got told it's because they had no one else and doesn't deserve to be picked. It's not really Sloan's the kind of player that you need to put your arm around and just give him the confidence that you back him, so then he'll back himself, not just belittle him and make him feel like crap. And then you see Anthony Griffin's done the first option with Telltale Moan, put his arm around him, said you're the man for the job, and look how well he's playing since he re-signed his contract. I mean, he had a bad game on last weekend, but the 3 weeks before that, he's absolutely killing it. And as well, players in the reserve grade who are really some of the other players that really look like they're trying, such as Jackson Ford, couldn't get a run till last weekend, and we saw how well he played. You can't tell me the Dragons wouldn't have been better for having him in the team all year. And obviously, Ben Hunt loves playing under Anthony Griffin, but got to look at it logistically. Is keeping Ben Hunt worth losing 6 or 7 players, and a lot of them are only young and going to be great for the future? So for me, I don't think the Dragons can afford to lose all these young players as well. I don't think Bud Sullivan's very happy. He's only had limited chances at first grade and is playing now, but he would have preferred to be first grade all year. I just think it honestly might be time for the Dragons to look at letting Anthony Griffin go. I know it's probably going to mean that Ben Hunt goes as well, but for the future and longevity of the club, I think some changes need to be made there. Now, let's talk about the Broncos. They've had really, really poor form. The last 2 weeks, they've conceded over 100 points. And it's we said last week, when we were talking about who's going to make the finals in Broncos or Raiders, that the for and against was hugely in Broncos' favour, and that's just turned around in the matter of 1 week, because the Raiders absolutely pumped the Manly, and then Broncos got pumped by the Eels. So if Raiders beat the Tigers by 10 or less, the Broncos still have to beat the Dragons by more than 60. And Broncos play their game before the Raiders this weekend, so they don't really know the situation, how much they need to win by. But yeah, it's very, very interesting times. I don't know what's going on there in the last month or so, whether they've just burnt out or whatever, but they copped an absolute spray off Kevin Walters, which I think they thoroughly deserved. So now let's get through and talk about your guys' team of the year. So at fullback, you had James Tedesco, and it's so easy to see why. Spoke about him last week, but Teddy is really, really starting to establish himself as one of the all-time greats at fullback position, especially if they can go on to win a couple more comps before he retires, and this season might be one of them. But over 22 games this season, he has scored 12 tries, had 12 try assists. He leads the comp in tackle busts, and he's second for total runs and running meters, and is also third in kick return meters, and just leading from the front for the Roosters. He's really stepping up as the captain this year, and is a huge reason why the Roosters are throbbing and are a premiership threat. So onto the first winger, Alex Johnston. Now he might be one of, if not the most underrated players of all time. Like he's once again leading the comp with 28 tries, which is definitely like sneaked up on me. I didn't realise. Like I knew he scored a lot of tries, especially over the last few rounds since Charles been back, but I didn't realise he was close to 30 for the season. He also leads the comp in line breaks with 37. 37 line breaks. It's just ridiculous. He's also got 5 tries. This takes up to 33 try involvements in 22 games. What is going on? He's an absolute freak. Second winger that you guys voted for was Selwyn Cobbo. Now, he's been touted as a star for the future in like the Inglis and Latrell mould, but we've seen why Cobbo's had such a huge ratcheting this season. He scored 15 tries in 17 games, and impressively leads the comp in total interceptions with 6, showing that he has an eye for the game and can just read, has the anticipation, can read what's going to happen next, which is going to go like so far for him in his career, like in the like in 5-10 years time when he's probably most likely playing fullback. And so he's like one area that Cobbo does need to improve on though is his error rate, but like which unfortunately he has the third most errors in the comp. But he's only young. It's an area that the Broncos can definitely work on and get out of his game. A lot of that's probably just due to some fatigue and that sort of thing. So onto the centres. The first one you guys voted for was Valentine Holmes. And he's really rejuvenated himself this season with his change from fullback to centre, which I think has got a bit underestimated how difficult that is, and just showing how talented he is since returning from the NFL. He took a little bit of time to readjust to the game, but he's really throbbing now. He's top point scorer this season and best goal kicker as well. And it's just been impressive like attacking weapon that's really been utilised well by the Cowboys. Now, the second centre who probably had his career best year, Joey Manu. What an absolute just stud of a man. He's ripped up this year and he's been one of the comp's best centres. And like, despite that, he's also probably had his best games this year in 5'8" and fullback, just showing the absolute athlete that he is. He's second in the comp in tackle busts, just behind Tedesco, and has scored 11 tries and set 12 up in 22 appearances this season, as well as averaging over 140 metres a game. So now into the halves. At 5'8", this one's pretty easy, and I'm glad you guys picked him. Cameron Munster. He's had an amazing career up to the 2022 season, so he's like already had such a gun year, which is why his form this year has been so impressive, because he's probably had his best year to date. He scored 11 tries and set up 14 just across 20 games, but impressively he's carved up at both 5'8", and now we've seen him the last few weeks at fullback too. And like he's honestly a huge reason why the Storm are a chance to top 4 this season, and wouldn't be surprised if he takes out the Dally M. Now at 7, this one I think when we like sent out the poll, it was this guy, but this might have changed since then for you guys. I'm not too sure, but it was Ben Hunt. He's been carrying the Dragons on his back this season. It's unfortunate they couldn't like repay him some of that and get into the finals for him. But he leads the comp in line engagements, 40-20s, and also missed tackles. So there's that, a bit of a downer stat. But he's managed to score 6 tries at halfback, while also setting up 16. He's been responsible and involved in pretty much all of Dragons' points this season. So like you can see pretty much every time Dragons score, Ben Hunt's in and around the play. Into the front rows now. Joseph Tarpanay is the first front rower, and he's proved himself to be one of the elites front row this season. Averaging well over 150 metres this year, Tarpanay also leads the comp in post-contact metres. It's just leading from the front for the Raiders. I think it goes without saying that the form of Tarpanay this season is a key factor and the reason why the Raiders are pushing for the top 8 and look very likely to make the top 8. The other front rower, he only just pipped Ruben Cotter, but we got Payne Haas. He's another young player in competition who just it just continues to improve every single year. You think he's reached his ceiling already at 23 or however old he is, but he just keeps getting better. He's third in post-contact metres for the season, and he's averaging an impressive 161 metres a game. He's managed to score once in his 19 games, so no need to run for him, thank God. And he's tackling at an impressive 97.3% tackle efficiency. Now, to the dummy half, you got Harry Grant. He's another player, he just continues to improve, and he's only played 51 games so far in his career, and he's already established himself as one of, if not the best hooker in the game. So across the 2022 season, he's taken the most dummy half runs, and he's just killing teams in the middle of the ruck. Whenever they get tired, Harry Grant's in there nipping around in behind the ruck. He has managed to score 6 tries, as well as set up 16, which is a lot for a dummy half to have 22 try involvements in one season. He's also set up 15 line breaks and is running close to 100 metres a game, which is pretty much unheard of for a hooker. Now into the second rowers, you got Jeremiah Nanai as the first selection. Now he's having one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. The 19-year-old has managed to score 17 tries in 20 games from second row this season, which is as many as David Fafita did last season. and he's nearly broken the record for most tries in a single year by a forward, and that might end up happening this week with the Panthers having a very depleted side. Now, the other second rower was Isaiah Papali'i. After a very improved season last year, Isaiah Papali'i has continued on that trajectory and improved again, and he's just been such a damaging ball runner, scoring 10 tries for the Eels this year. He's also averaging close to 140 metres and has done well to shift between second row and lock and held his form in a Eels team that struggled for some consistency across the board. Now, at lock, this one was probably the closest position all round, but Isaiah Yeo is your selection for lock, and he's just one of the joys to watch in rugby league. The way he engages the line and creates so much time and space for his outside men is just a thing of beauty, and he makes the right decision when to pass or run 99 times out of 100. He's an absolute workhorse through the middle for the Panthers, averaging over 140 metres a game and tackling at a 96% efficiency. Now, the individual awards for you guys: your Player of the Year was Ben Hunt, Rookie of the Year was Jeremiah Nanai, Most Improved was Ruben Cotter, and Coach of the Year was Todd Payton, which I think most of those go without saying that they should be the obvious selection there. Now get on to my team of the year. I had a lot of similar selections. I think I only had 2 changes, so we'll just talk about those ones when we get there. But James Tedesco, Alex Johnston, Valentine Holmes, Joey Manu, and my first change was Joseph Suali'i. And I think Suali'i has been absolutely phenomenal on the wing for the Roosters this year. And just 19 years of age, he's physically dominating men much older than him. For example, that hit on Viliame kick out in that game was absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've seen anyone come close to hit kick out like that. I mean, we went and watched the Roosters versus the Dragons down at Central Coast Stadium, and he put an absolute belter of a hit on Cody Ramsey right in front of us. And you just see it coming lining up, and you could hear pretty much Cody Ramsey's rib shake. It was such a good hit. But he's just got, same as we sort of talked about Cobbo before, he's got such great awareness and eye for the game, and he's going to be an absolute star in the future. In his first full year of first grade, he scored 15 tries and 2 try assists while running for 135 metres a game, and also having 62 tackle busts, proving he's a handful already. The only thing as well, he started the year in reserve grade, and he's just now absolutely carving up and looks like he might represent Australia at the end of the year in the World Cup. So, continuing on, similar selections had Cam Munster and Ben Hunt in the halves, Joseph Tarpanay, Harry Grant. And now our second change, the other front rower, I had Ruben Cotter. I think he was dead set 6 votes off Payne Haas as well, and over 1,200 people voted, so it was very, very close. But I think he's just been one of, if not the most improved player in the comp. One of the things that I've been seriously impressed with is just the fact that Ruben Cotter before this season was playing hooker. If you go look him up on his NRL.com player profile, it says he's a hooker. And then he shifted to lock, and now he wears the number 10 for the Cowboys. So his versatility has just been absolutely amazing, and he's just been an absolute revelation for the Cowboys, and fully deserves to make his Origin debut this year. And so with his move to the front row, he's averaging around 120 metres a game, as well as huge defensive workload, and also boasts an impressive 97.4% tackle efficiency. Then my last 3 selections were the same as you guys as well: Jeremiah Nanai, Isaiah Papali'i, and Isaiah Yeo. And my Player of the Year was also Ben Hunt. My Rookie of the Year was also Jeremiah Nanai. My Most Improved, however, was Dylan Edwards. I thought he's been absolutely amazing for the Panthers this season, and almost pushed himself into being probably a top 3 fullback this season. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but when you have a look at who's played well across fullback this season, I think he's definitely up there. And then Coach of the Year, I also had Toddy Payton. All right, now let's talk about the last round of the season, starting off with Eels versus Storm in a huge game for deciding who gets the top 4. Because the winner of this goes through the top 4 and basically has a second chance if they lose round 1. The Eels look full of confidence, and they believe they'll be every chance of winning this game. Whereas the Storm last week, they were looking to bounce back after a tough loss against the Chookies. They still played well, but they'll definitely be looking to get the win here. And I just think though it's at Bank West, and the Eels will be really up for this one. We've already seen them beat the Storm this season, and they seem to have the number over the Storm the last couple of years. And I do think they will get it. They'll get the win again, setting up Para versus Penrith the first week of the finals, and will also mean that Storm will go on to take either the Raiders or the Broncos in week 1 of the finals next week. Now, Dogs versus Manly, this is the first of the dead rubber games this weekend. But in saying that, both teams will be looking to end the season on a high. Dogs did well to only concede 3 tries against the Sharkies last weekend, but failed to score, so that's a bit concerning for them. And Manly, they just look like a defeated side. It seems like they're almost giving up in games. It just looks like they just don't really want to be there at all. So I think in saying that, the Doggies can get the win this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Manly come through with a win as well. Now on to Roosters versus Rabbitohs. This is an absolute belter of a game to open up the new Allianz Stadium. Campbell Graham has been well rested with Jackson Bolo coming in, while Radley, Collins and Tupou are out for the Chooks. So I think Tupou is actually a bit of an underrated loss for the Chookies that hasn't really been spoken about, but he provides such good yardage gains coming out of their own and he's so reliable as well. Pretty much never makes an error. Always pretty much good for a try or two as well. And I just think Momorowski is a good player and would do a job on the wing, but I just think you can't really replace Daniel Tupou in that side. But there are also rumours floating around that Latrell might not play and will be rested because I think he's up on the North Coast, up on his farm. But I think if Latrell's out, then the Chookies probably should win. But I think if he's there, it'll be a lot closer game, and the Bunnies will get the win there. I think either way, well, it depends with other results and stuff, but they might be versing each other 2 weeks in a row, the Roosters and the Rabbitohs. Now, Warriors versus Titans, it's another dead rubber here, but it's over in New Zealand, and the Warriors look a much better side and still want to give the fans a good showing their last game of the season and just repay them for their faith over the last couple of years. The Titans, they do look actually very much improved side of the last month or so, playing how we thought they would all year. But in saying that, I think it's going to be a good contest, and I'm tipping the Warriors to get the win back at home, just to finish off the season on a high note and hopefully build into a good season next year. Now, the Dragons versus the Broncos. There's a lot riding on this game for the Broncos, as we spoke briefly about before. And they're just they need a huge win if they're any chance of playing finals footy. They do get Patrick Carrigan back, which is a massive in, and the kind of player that look around the dressing room and think, yep, we've got a good chance of winning this game. But they've also made the decision to bring Gamble back into the side for Ezra Mam. It's just been a bit off the pace the last few weeks. I think he's going to have a huge career, but it just needs to. That's probably a good decision just to pull him out right now, just get him out of the limelight for a little bit. And as well, the Dragons played pretty poorly last week against the Tigers. They still got the job done, which would be good for their confidence. But this game gives the chance to former Broncos players like Ben Hunt, Maguire, Sewer, Moga, and McCulloch, if he plays, to end their old team's finals hopes. So there's a bit of bad blood here as well. But with the way the Broncos have been playing and it being down in Sydney at Cogra, I do see the Dragons getting a win here. Cowboys vs Panthers. Panthers have rested literally their whole starting side. I don't think I've ever seen this before, and it's probably a record for most changes in a week. And I think the Cowboys are going to take that as a sign of disrespect. It's probably not from the Panthers, but I think the Cowboys will be like, well, why don't you think you can play your best team against us? And they're going to come out and absolutely whoop them. I think the Cowboys also have a home semi on the line for week 1, so they need to get a win here. And then it depends on how the Sharks go, whether they get one or not. But I think they will probably put a huge score on the Panthers up at Townsville as well. Knights versus Sharks. Poor old Knights fans cannot catch a break at the moment. And unfortunately for them, I think that'll continue here. But at least you put out your misery and it'll be off-season for you guys. Sharks have a lot more to play for and are just humming at the moment and really want to use this game as the chance to just cement everything and make sure they're feeling good to week 1 of the finals. And also, same with the Cowboys. They have a home semi-final on the line here. If they win this game against the Knights, they get a week 1 game points bet against the Cowboys, and I think that's what will happen with the Sharks getting a win here. Now, Tigers versus Raiders. This game could potentially be a dead rubber in terms of it won't mean anything really for either side because Broncos might have lost by this stage, meaning the Raiders are qualified for the finals. But in saying that, Roosters need to make sure they don't get complacent because either way, this game will be their last chance to get everything to click before the finals. And if the Broncos do get a big win over the Dragons, they will be a bit of pressure on the Green Machine to get the win here. You also got to remember that the Tigers are farewelling James Tarmow, and it's at Leichhardt Stadium as well, and they always get up for these kind of games. But I do think that the Raiders do get the win here over the Tigers. So now we get on to some of your fan questions. I'm sorry, I've been a bit slack this week. Just some changes to work and stuff. I didn't get to sort of ask you for any new ones this week, but we've got a couple good ones from last week as well. So Lachlan Sheaf asks, do you think the Broncos can be a premiership contender in the next few years? Absolutely. We saw how well they can play this season with them being in the top 4 for a large part of the year, and they've also still got a relatively young side. I think they're adding a quality player to their roster next season in Reece Walsh, and I think that's going to benefit them in the long run. A lot of people said it's Tomato Martin doesn't have much of an influence on their attack and stuff, but if you look at the attacking weapons that Reece Walsh has, like they are probably like a bit more advanced than Tomato Martins, which means that the Broncos can like incorporate that into their side. I think a piece that's missing for the Broncos at the moment is a top quality 9. They've been playing Jake Turpin and Billy Walters there and stuff, and as much as they're like decent first graders, I probably wouldn't put them in the elite of that like dummy half position. They do have Moser coming through the grades, who's going to be an absolute freak and touted the next Cameron Smith and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think he'll be ready to be an impactful 9 in the NRL for another 3 to 5 years. I can see him making his debut next season or two, but I don't think he's really going to like be making like impacts on the game sort of thing for another few years after that. But I definitely see the Broncos contending for premiership soon. I think around 2024 to 2026 is that really going to be their premiership window. Now we've got another question from Ellie Mae Whitby, and she asks, what's your opinion on how the Roosters have been playing this season? Now, it's been an interesting season for the Roosters, because I remember them sitting around 10th with probably 10 weeks to go, and not really knowing if they're going to make the finals, and thinking, what's going on with the Chooks? Because like I always said, they're going to click at some point. Like, they're too good of a side, and have such like too good of a coach and everything, like staff around them, to not push on for the finals. But since then, as well, since the bye round, they've been really, really good, and they've won 6 or 7 on the trot. And it's funny because it coincides with Matt Lodge coming into the team. I think when he first signed for them, I was like, what is going on here? But I think you can see that just that extra forward, extra impact really like helped them turn around. Walker and Keary have started to click and look good as a combination, and just as I sort of said before with Matt Lodge, but the other forwards as well have really started to stand up, allowing players like Teddy and Manu, who are leading the comps in tackle breaks, like they're 1 and 2, just to play off the back of them. So then, on Teddy and Joey Manu, like we're talking about it before, but I think Teddy's having his second best season of his career behind 2019, which was that really killer year where he scored that the game-winning try in the Origin, I think maybe the grand final as well, and got Dally M that year. And I would say as well that Joey Manu's in career best form, which is certainly like a huge factor into one of the reasons why they're in such a push to the finals now, like and absolute like humming towards getting maybe another premiership. On top of that, you have some of the best, one of the best athletes in the game, at under 19, absolutely terrorising teams in Suoliti, and other players like Nat Butcher, Tupou, Radley having all good seasons, as well as Keary and Walker actually having like underratedly good seasons. They're not really spoken about as some of the best halves this year in the comp, but I definitely think they have been. And it just goes to show why the Roosters are such an elite club with their like mentality to just dig themselves up from looks like missing finals to be one of the premiership threats. And it's like backs against the wall. It's like righto, we're the Roosters. We're going to come through and try and win a comp. Now, thanks for making it this far. I just want to shout out something. We're going to do Mullet's mental health. I think something that's always been a bit of been a big thing for me, but in rugby league over the last month or so that it is still a big issue, and I just want to get everyone around it. So if you're a bloke and you want to grow out a mullet, come join our our squad or whatever it's called. But make sure you leave a like and follow and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you could leave a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it'd be awesome. Really help us grow the podcast and create some better content for you guys. So thanks for watching and have a good weekend.